Hey, Saad here. I build sales systems for a living. Here's how I make 105K a month selling automation. Let me show you how. Now imagine you are camping in the woods, right? And you want to light up a fire to stay warm that night. Well, obviously, first of all, you need a lighter, and that lighter will give you like a spark, like a little tiny spark, right? That you're going to use to light up a fire. Well, when you have that spark now, well, you need wind, right? Obviously, you need wind because when the wind is going to touch that spark, well, obviously the spark is going to get bigger and bigger. And now what do you have? Well, you have fire. Okay. So same thing applies to building a sustainable sales automation or an automation agency or any business in general. Okay. You need two things. You need a spark and you need wind to make that spark bigger. Therefore, you have fire. And that fire is essentially a sustainable, successful business that allows you to do whatever you want, whether it's location freedom or financial freedom, whatever you want, right? Now, let me show you how you can use that spark, right? Which is going to be the first thing that we're going to be talking about, which is first principle thinking. Now, first principle thinking is essentially the root of everything, right? It's the only thing that matters and is going to be the spark, okay? And let me explain this to you in very, very simple terms. So back then, when I was freelancing on Upwork, I noticed a pattern, which was 99% of my gigs were actual lead gen systems, sales systems, and cold email systems. Basically, the same systems that I show you guys in this channel, okay? And this is going to answer the big question that I always get, which is, Saad, how the hell do you come up with these niches, and how the hell you came up with the connector angle where you basically connect two industries that need each other using sales automation? Well, the answer to that is because I worked with hundreds of niches, from literally the weirdest ones to actual relatable ones. Okay, so when I was on Upwork, right, I noticed whenever I tried selling automation, it was never really something high ticket. Like I never really sold high ticket, like actual like automation, because simply people didn't really care if I can automate their blog posts, right? They simply didn't care if I can build them a chatbot that just answers questions. And the reason why, because I wasn't solving what do we call it? A real life problem. I wasn't solving a real life problem for them. It was a nice to have, not must have. Okay? So after getting banned, right? If you guys don't know, I got banned off Upwork. I still had that thing in my head. So I was like, you know what? I can actually dominate this space. And I did. And let's think about it logically. Like when you merge the biggest pain points that every business or any entity or organism or whatever, which is getting customers, right? And by the way, I'm saying entities because customers for businesses is the same as food, okay? It's the same as food for us as humans and also animals and basically any organism in the planet, right? So for you, instead of saying, how do I sell automation? You should ask, what's that one thing that every business, every team, every organism, and every species on the planet needs to survive? And the answer for that, you guessed it, a consistent, predictable source of input. So for a business, well, it's customers, clients, and leads. For a lion, well, it's the prey. For us humans, well, it's food and water. Because simply, no input means no survival. That's literally the universal truth, right? That's like the actual universal truth. Okay? So what I've done and what you should do is that you should stop trying to sell tech for the sake of tech, right? So what I've done is I started positioning everything I did around one thing, which is client acquisition. And let me give you a simple analogy. So if you guys don't know, I'm half Moroccan, half Italian. And there's this saying that stuck with me, which is, imagine offering someone a golden ring when they don't even have clothes, right? It doesn't make any sense, right? It doesn't make any sense to give someone who is naked a golden ring, right? So that's the biggest mistake that most beginners and freelancers do, is that they try to sell the tech just for the sake of selling the tech, right? They try to sell automation that didn't solve a core survival problem, okay? Because we know that the survival problem, just like I explained, is getting customers. And for us humans, is food, air, and basically water, right? And for a line is a spray, we're essentially not solving the core problem, which is the survival one, right? So it's like saying, hey, look at this ring that I'm gonna give you to someone who's struggling to cover basics such as clothes and shelter, right? No one cares about a ring if they're cold or naked, right? But when you show up with something that they actually need, like clothes, that's when you become valuable and actually irreplaceable. So automating a chatbot or like a blog post is basically the golden ring. Getting clients through the door is the clothes, food, and air. And let me ask you a question, like, what do you actually want? Most people say, I just want to make money. Well, okay, cool, but how much, right? How much? What's the number? What's the target? Okay? So let's say, for example, we are watching this, and let's say, for example, you want to make 10K a month or like 15 to 20K a month using automation or like selling automation, right? The only thing you have to do is sell a sales system worth $2,000, okay? Because guess what? To hit 10K, you only need 5 clients, right? So it's 5 deals per month. So from there, what we can do is we can reverse engineer that using first principles, okay? Which is going to be the spark, right? For example, let's be pessimistic and let me just give you the worst case scenario. Let's say you send 5K emails. Let's say you're not really that good and you get 2% reply rates. Let's say, 2% reply is 100 replies. So 100 replies, let's say basically just normal, average, like you don't know anything about this. And let's say, like, let's be, like I said, pessimistic, and only 40 of them are actually positive. So from these 40 positive replies, you only get 20 people to show up. And basically these are decision makers that are interested in your sales system that are going to sell them for 2K. Okay. So 20 people show up, right? Well, let's say you only manage to close 5, okay? 5 worth 2K, that's already 10K, right? See, now the dream that you want becomes a reality because it's simple math. It's not magic, right? So suddenly this dream becomes a daily system, okay? Well, so now what? What do you actually need? Let's break it down again using first principles, which is a painful problem, which is, obviously we know it, which is getting customers, because this is literally the pain that every business has. And you also need someone willing to pay for it. This is literally every business on the planet, B2B, whether it's B2B or B2C, okay? So you need a painful problem, you need someone who's willing to pay for it, and you need a way to reach out, which is outbound. Well, guess what now? Well, we have more tools in our disposal than ever before. You can literally pick someone, like anyone, any lead on the internet, learn about their business, learn about their ideal customers, their pain points, and literally reach out to them using AI at scale and have one of the crazy outreach that no one actually does on the internet, right? And actually close them. See how we break things using first principles, right? You only need 3 things. A painful problem, which is getting customers for businesses, someone who's willing to pay for it, well, guess what? It's every business on the planet, and a way to reach out to them, which is outbound. See, this is the spark that you need, which is breaking down everything in terms of first principles, okay? Because this is the root where everything comes from, right? It's the source, okay? Which is the spark, right? So the spark is breaking down everything in terms of first principles. Well, now we need the wind to create the fire. Well, the wind is going to be speed over efficiency. Because when you merge the basics, which is first principle thinking, and you reverse engineer it, well, what do you need now? It's basically just speed. And speed is the wind who's going to actually make that fire. Okay? So let's talk about speed over efficiency. You need to understand that it's not about being efficient. It's about going fast. Because you are literally right now in something that I like to call blitz mode. You know, in chess, there's like a way to play which is called blitz, which is pretty fast, right? This is called blitz, okay? So right now we are in blitz mode because you have to understand that speed creates data and data tells you what's working and what's not working. Well, you guessed it. What's working gets doubled down and what's not working, we stop doing it. You know, the founder of LinkedIn, Reif Hoffman, said, if you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you shipped too fast. And let me just give you another simple, concrete example, right? Imagine your house is on fire, okay? You don't try different hose brands. Well, what do? You grab the closest bucket and you start throwing water because you are literally in blitz mode. Now, let's get to the actual practical parts because I want to give you actionables that you will do today, okay? So you can start taking action, right? So let's go to the practical stuff. Do you want to sell automation and actually get paid? Well, first thing, solve a survival level problem. Pick one thing that every business on the planet wants, which is getting customers. Forget chatbots, forget dashboards, forget automation for convenience. Businesses don't really care unless it actually moves the needle. You want to sell automation? Then sell systems that get leads, get clients, get customers, get booked calls, get intros, and also close deals. That's it. Step 2, pick a niche, which is going to be, most of the time, pick a B2B niche. Always B2B niche. Pick 1, not 10. And I know you might be wondering, Saad, why should I just try multiple niches? Well, good question, my friend. Well, because speed loves focus. Can't really test offers if you're chasing 5 industries at once, okay? So this is called the anti-fragile execution protocol. And in simple English, it means how to sell automation while the rest of your system warms up. So step 1, get pre-warmed up emails. Step 2, get normal emails and warm them up for 2 weeks. Well, guess what now? You can start sending right away, validate everything, and at that point you have data. And since you already have other emails that are being warmed up, well, guess what now? You have the resource/infra so you can double down on what worked. Since the other ones are already warmed up, and this is called scaling volume. So you have to understand that anti-fragile systems benefit from chaos, which means you create a system that gets stronger as it moves. Because more campaigns means more data, and more data means better copy, and better copy just means better targeting, and better targeting means better closes. Well, guess what now? Better closes means more cash. Well, more cash means more infra, and more infra means more scale. This is essentially what scale is. That's literally it. Let me give you another simple analogy. Imagine there's 2 people, okay? The first one wants to open 10 restaurants at once, okay? And the second one just opens one food cart with the same menu today. Now, if people buy like crazy, what does he do? Well, he opens 2 more carts, then a food truck, then a full restaurant. By the time the other guy finally opens up his restaurant, he's already made his first 10K, knows what sells, and already has a customer base. So recap, what do we have here? We have a spark, which is essentially breaking down everything in terms of first principles, which is called first principle thinking, which is the root, the source, okay? Which is the spark in our case, okay? So when you merge the spark plus the wind, which is speed that we just talked about, well, guess what now? What do we have? The fire, which is money. So I want you to do this today, right? Merge the spark and the wind, and you'll dominate the space and you'll become a beast in no time. So get out there, take action. I believe in you, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.